My ex-boyfriend proposed to his new girlfriend at my sister's wedding. My sister didn't warn me, and now I'm too angry to let go. I don't want to make this post very long, but I'm going to be needing all the advice you got about how to not resent my sister for what she did. I want to know if I'm being a bitter woman and a sore loser. These are the things I've been hearing from my family. Not the exact wording, but the sentiments. My female 31 ex-boyfriend broke up with me after about 1.5 years, by basically ghosting me and not returning my calls or texts. This was on February/March 2020. On the week leading him to breaking up with me, I was getting weird texts with sexual content and he saw one of them. I tried to explain that I didn't know the person texting me, and he seemed to believe me, but apparently not, because it was then he stopped talking to me. One day on my way back from work, I saw him coming out of the movies with an acquaintance, female 28, let's call her Eve, of mine, kissing and holding hands. I call her acquaintance because even if we ran in the same circle of friends, we never really were close. In fact, she didn't hide her disapproval of my relationship. I thought him to be out of my league, and she was very outspoken about that. With restrictions and people stopping to hang out, I didn't see or hear anything of them over the following months. I was heartbroken, but at the same time very disgusted by my ex's behavior. My anger and isolation helped the healing process. Last Christmas Eve when I was at my parents' house, my sister, female 28, who is a better friend to Eve, told me that Eve has agreed to host her wedding at her summer house, more of a mansion, for free. And my sister was over the moon with happiness, and she and her fiancé could never afford a place like that. My sister told me that because Eve was so generous, she invited her and my ex to the wedding. I was livid and asked her how she could do this to me and left my parents' house crying. I later regretted being mad at my sister. She wasn't the one who hurt me, and so I called to apologize. She thanked me and told me she was so happy and asked me to be her maid of honor. The wedding was in August. Me, mom, and my sister's best friend did all the planning and worked almost all day every day the week leading to the party. It was a 3-day wedding with rehearsal dinner on Friday, wedding on Saturday, and a brunch party on Sunday. At the rehearsal dinner, my sister made a speech thanking everyone for the hard work. She then thanked the host, Eve, for her generosity and told her that she had a surprise planned for her. Ex-boyfriend then literally got down on one knee and asked her to marry him. I was mortified and wanted to vomit. I didn't say anything and didn't join in the cheering. I wanted to run away, but I couldn't ruin my sister's wedding, so I stayed for the next day and left the morning of the 3rd day. I can't help but feel betrayed by her. She could at least have warned me of what she was planning to do. After her honeymoon, she called and told me it wasn't her secret and that Eve had planned the whole thing, and she couldn't say no because she didn't want to be rude to the host. I told her to go screw herself if she thought a perfect party was worth hurting her own sister. She called me bitter and jealous and hung up. We haven't spoken since. Now this Christmas, I told my mom that I wasn't coming. She was mad and told me to grow up and stop blaming the world, that I'm not the first person to be dumped, and if I was so in love with him, maybe I shouldn't have cheated? I yelled at my mom, and now I don't talk to her either. I know it's not mom or sister's fault, but I'm so afraid that I have become so resentful and bitter like they said. But I'm so hurt it feels like physical pain in my heart. How can I move on from this resentment? Now for the top advice. That's a low blow from your sister. She should have given you a subtle heads up at least. But really, I would never let my sister's ex propose at my wedding. That's just so inconsiderate of your sister. And he can definitely figure out something better for his proposal than his ex's sister's wedding. Shaking my head. She simply said it wasn't her secret, and that she was afraid I would refuse to attend a wedding and ruin her day. Shows her priorities. Your sister has shown you who she really is. Respect that, and move forward with your life. I've had people tell me that, and I have always thought it was a coward's answer. You let people you love know, you let your family know. I agree. She is really showing you who she is, putting her own self-interest ahead of everybody else. That makes it twice she has done this. Do you want to trust her a 3rd time, 4th time, 5th time? When people show you who they are, believe them. I think it may be time you cut them/her off and live your life away from people who hurt you willingly for their own intentions. I would have never done that to my sister. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to have even remained friends with Eve, much less have her host a wedding. And then to ambush you like that? Your sister is awful. I don't care about your feelings at all. And the ex, let alone the cheating, but to ghost you? Like, I'm floored. I hope her wedding venue is worth destroying your relationship. I mean, you may move past this, but I doubt it'll ever really be forgotten. And to think a swanky venue was all it took for her to throw you under the bus. I am so freaking mad for you. Exactly how I feel. Is a party so worth hurting your sister like this? I would have never done it if Eve had offered me to Versailles. And it has nothing to do with it's been over a year since it dumped you, move on. It's not about him. This entire thing is so creepy. It's so tacky to propose at someone else's wedding. And she even orchestrated a fake proposal for herself to steal the limelight from your sister? Yaks, good luck with that one. That said, your sister should have told you. It's awful that she didn't put you in that position. It's even worse that your family's being so careless and cruel about your hurt. I think distancing yourself from them is a good idea. They don't care to be supportive of you, and you don't need anything else piled on while you heal. It is very creepy. If it wasn't my sister's wedding and my ex proposing, I would have sat back and laughed at the cringe. Many guests, 50 at the rehearsal, 300 at the actual wedding, thought it cringe. Next story. My friend female 24 has turned into a bridezilla, and it's ruining our relationship. Bride and I have always gotten along. Her fiancé is amazing. Super tight-knit group between her and her spouse and my spouse and I. The wedding is this weekend, but I can't wait for it to be over. I'm sick of it. She's stressed to the max, as a typical bride may find herself, and my fiancé and I have been helping out wherever we can. They leave for the honeymoon right after the wedding and needed someone to watch their dog. I love dog, but she's horribly trained, ill-tempered towards other animals and dogs, and doesn't listen. The bride wants me to take the dog to my house, where I live on a farm and land shared by 3 other families, all with animals. I've seen this dog go from nice and happy to ripping out fur off of other dogs. Poor thing needs lots of training and just isn't getting it. Anyway, the conversation goes as follows. Bride, so you'll take the dog when we leave? Me, I have no issue watching the dog at your house, but I really don't feel comfortable with her coming to stay with me for 9 days. I have animals on the property and a cat that lives inside. Bride, the dog will be fine. Walks off. The conversation ended here, unfortunately. Days passed and I get exciting news. My brother and I have been searching for months to find a perfect kitten for my mom. We found a kitten that is basically the reincarnation of my mom's childhood cat. It's weird. So him and I apply for the kitten, and boom, she's ours. I will be keeping her at my house until Christmas. I want to make a little safety room for the cat as she is shy. So I text the bride for help. Me. Hey, my brother and I ended up getting that kitten. I was wondering if I would be able to borrow your puppy pen? No worries if I can't. Bride. Wait, what? No, you said you'd take the dog. Now you're getting a kitten? Why'd you lie and say you'll take the dog? Me. I didn't lie. I said I wasn't comfortable with her coming to my house. To which she told me no, it's fine, and disregarded my concerns. I have no issue coming to your house and working from there. I work from home. She exploded, saying how I was backing out and not trustworthy, and that she was stressed out. I acknowledged that she was stressed and I would do anything to help. But I would not be going out of my comfort zone to watch an aggressive dog on my animal field property. She reminds me that she's stressed about her cat dying, and that I don't know what stress actually is. My grandpa passed away the day before we left for the bachelorette party. I was devastated, but I went anyway since I already paid for my ticket and hotel room. But my grandma's in the process of dying. The bride's comment hit a sore spot with me, so I let her know that her comment was rude because she knew what I was going through and grieving over, and that perhaps the convo should end here before anything else is said. Nope. She continues with saying how I'm backing out. I'm not any help. Why would I lie? She wasn't hearing me or what I was saying, so I drops it for the night. The bride then goes after my fiancé saying what on earth is my problem. Fiancé supported me, bless his heart, saying that I'm grieving, and her comments were rude and disrespectful. We knew she was stressed, but coming after me wasn't how this conversation was gonna go. My fiancé is a no BS guy. It was polite at first, but the bridal meltdown continued. She said my grandpa's death wasn't important and had nothing to do with the current situation. Fiancé stopped the convo there as she was just digging her hole even deeper. None of us have spoken since. Wedding is this Friday and I'm just gonna push through it like nothing happened and help where it's needed. Don't know what's happening to the dog. I don't even know where to go from here in our relationship. She doesn't want to hear me and invalidates my feelings and concerns. I get that she's stressed, but damn, I ain't your stress punching bag. I have my own issues I'm dealing with. How do I even traverse this? So the problem isn't that your friend is a bridezilla. The problem is that your friend is a selfish a-hole and you didn't notice it, or chose not to notice it until the wedding made it too obvious to ignore. You know, I think you're right. This whole situation has shown me her true colors right in my face, and I can't ignore them. Weddings are pivotal events that bring out the best and worst in people, and absolutely make or break relationships. This goes both ways, either as the bride and groom or friends attending. My wedding changed all my relationships. People either got closer or drifted away. In a strange way, the wedding was as much a goodbye party for my old life and some of my friends, as it was a celebration of something new and diving deep with certain people. Let her find someone else to take the dog, or the dog needs to go to boarding. Selfish pet owners that don't train their animals get this exact scenario. No one wants to be around their pets. You offered her an alternate solution. No idea why she wouldn't accept you taking care of the dog at her place. I feel bad for the dog, or any dog really that doesn't get proper training. I thought I was offering a good alternative. I've watched the dog before at their house, so I don't get why all of a sudden it's a no-go. I would just make sure the fiancé/co-owner of the dog is fully aware of your stance about the dog, and the reasonable alternative you offered, so he isn't stuck making plans based on her telling him you're taking the dog. My fiancé has let the husband know my stance on the dog. It has been acknowledged by him. Now for the last story. Boyfriend 43 male is angry that I, 42 female, post nude while in college. Plus a little update. I got divorced from my first husband about 5 years ago after a 15-year marriage. We got together young and just grew apart. And after spending several years fully single, I decided to start dating earlier this year and met my current boyfriend. We dated casually for a few months, meaning we saw each other regularly but non-exclusively, and a couple months ago decided to be exclusive and moved to a more serious and committed relationship. In the context of being more committed, we have been having more intensive discussions about our pasts and revealing things that wouldn't necessarily come up in casual dating that doesn't come with a relationship status. A few days ago, we had a discussion where we each agreed to reveal the most out-of-character thing we have ever done. For him, it was going skydiving when he has a fear of heights, which he said he was glad to experience, but would not likely do it again. For me, I revealed that I had posed nude while in college. This was not posing for an pornographic context or even for photos. I was one of those people who posed for art students who are practicing drawing and painting the human form. It was very out of character for me, because I had grown up in a purity culture in which the human body was thought to be, at the same time, very shameful and constantly sexualized. And this experience helped me to work past that shame. My boyfriend got angry and insists that I basically did X work and that I had no right to withhold this information from him. That he wouldn't have gotten into a relationship with me if he had known. The thing is, it wasn't sexual at all. The people posing were all of ages, shapes and size. There was no touching and the students were very professional, as the professors kept a very close eye on what was going on due to the potential for mistreatment and would absolutely not have tolerated any harassment of the models. In most cases, they were just practicing drawing/painting body contours and didn't even depict my face. This was well before smartphones with cameras were a thing, and in fact, no photography was allowed in the studios to protect the privacy of the models, unless they were posing specifically for photography students, which I never did. So there was basically no chance that any images or artistic renderings of me ended up on the internet. Anyway, now I'm feeling embarrassed and ashamed, and I'm not even sure if I still have a boyfriend, as he said he needed to think about whether he could be with an ex-worker. What do you guys think? Is his concern warranted? This was over 20 years ago. I did get paid, about $100 a session, and did about a dozen sessions over the course of a couple semesters. I am thinking I should probably break up with him even if he forgives me, because my rational side doesn't think I deserve to be judged negatively for this, and frankly his reaction is triggering a lot of my past trauma about my purity-oriented upbringing, but could use another opinion as to whether I did something wrong. Now for the top advice before reading the little update. Beg for forgiveness? For what? His weird insecurities about something from 20 years ago? Lol, this dude is whack. Forgiveness because I did porn, which according to him is a big thing to withhold. To which my immediate reaction is, yikes. When did bodies themselves, without any sexual acts or sexualized posing, become pornographic? You post nude at an art class so artists could study the human form. In what universe does your psychotic boyfriend live in that this is sex work? Apparently your naked body existing is sex work? Lol. You're new to dating and I don't think you're seeing this for the red flag it is. This guy is absolutely crazy, and there's no way in hell you should continue dating him. I can't believe he doubled down and said you misrepresented yourself. This guy is an absolute joke of a person. At least you'll have a dating story guaranteed to make everyone you know laugh like crazy. He will be mocked at dinner parties for a long time. Yes, that's my concern. Equating any and all nudity with ex work doesn't sit well with me. So if I agree to let medical students examine me for learning purposes, that would be ex work? You're right that I haven't dated much. Just a couple boyfriends before meeting my ex-husband, and then some casual dates here and there before this current relationship. A lot seems to have changed the past couple decades. And now for the update. I decided to break up with him. Mostly because I realized after posting this and thinking about it, that I just don't like him that much anymore. And from here, I would be worried about walking on eggshells all the time. And that something about me that I can't or don't want to change might set him off. We had some fun, but I haven't invested enough for me to put up with him judging me for innocuous things in my past. And I deserve someone who doesn't make me feel embarrassed and ashamed over something pretty innocent. Called him to discuss our relationship. Without my even getting a word in edgewise, he launched into how much of a hard time he was still having with my past, that he thought I had really misrepresented myself, that he was actually traumatized by thinking about me being nude in that room with so many people leering at me and me getting paid for it. And he said I needed therapy for my attention-seeking behavior. As soon as I could interject, I told him I wasn't going to apologize for or be ashamed of my past, and that we obviously weren't compatible, but I wished him luck with finding someone in the future who shared his views on artistic nudity. He tried to backpedal and say we could work through things if I would just admit what I had done wrong and get help, but I refused and said we were done here. Feels like a huge relief, so thank you guys for helping me see clearly.